shared all our pleasantries and had our introductions, and I want to take the question from Lady Rosemary Bosso. Please go ahead.
But please, is the exam going to come from all the topics we teach?
Yes, please. You answer questions. Yes, you answer questions on everything we've done. There will be essays. So you will have 5 questions. Yes, the reason is you don't know which topic favors which student. So which one are you going to exclude, you see, and why? What would be the reason for excluding a certain topic? When maybe that is the one that some particular student will find a bit more convenient. Maybe the topics 1 and 2, someone was not yet actively involved in the course, so he or she didn't have a good grasp of it, and is still struggling to fill those gaps. You see, I don't want to include the later topics. I want to give them the ones that I think are accessible. But that one is a problem for someone else. You see, that's one. It's a very big class. City campus, main campus put together is almost 1,500 or exceeding 1,500 students. You cannot play around with topics and say, so you answer questions only on Descartes or only on so and so. So that will not be fair. So we have done 7 topics. I reminded you of them. Tell your friends, and you yourselves be properly advised. And just in case a main campus student lays hands on this recording and is engaging it, it is your responsibility to cover grounds for all the topics, all of them. The recordings are there, the links are there. If you're on the academic channel, just go to PHCL 102. The tag is 2021. I couldn't get time to change the playlist title. So it is 2021, but inside it are all the recordings for PHCL 102 that I have for even this semester, properly labeled. Go there, find the topics. If it's Descartes, pull that link and play it, whether it is city or main campus, won't matter. You have 1 lecture by the grace of God. I'm not dead. I'm not going to die anytime soon. And God will give us grace to be alive and well and continue doing what we are doing to help people and humanity. You see? So go there, pull Amen. It. City campus, yeah. Amen. Amen. Okay, so if it's city campus, you pull it, you listen. Sometimes it's not even what the lecturer is saying at that time. It's what a student said. That's why I record the live sessions. It can be very, very, problematic for some lecturers. They don't like it because it's a live session. You don't know, you could say something, or you could, out of the blue, make a comment and all that. But what can we do? We want the best for students. Some of us, it's a passion, it's a grace, it's a calling. We don't see it as just what you are doing to earn a living. Yes, we do that to earn a living, and it is important, but it goes beyond that. So everything you can do legitimately to inculcate in students skills that they need. This topic that today I said I would try and get you introduced to, I don't need to. We've done 7 topics. You see, we have covered more than enough for 10 weeks. We didn't rush through them. It is just grace to manage that topic in a way that you have a wide frame of mind when you hear philosophy, not just Socrates sitting under a tree dreaming or something. It can be so boring if you thought of it that way. But you have some medical ethics, you have some business ethics, you have some, what's the other one? Epistemology, some Descartes, a little bit of Plato, some Ortega, existential issues. You see, so it's a wide spread. If you want to do law in future, you will remember the content we have discussed. If you want to do politics, you will remember a management position. You will remember dealing with how to allocate resources, okay, as a state or as a Bushiapeni or as a member of a project team or something. You will remember what we have discussed, even if you don't do philosophy in the second year. That is why I'm so keen on the introductory bits of what are philosophy in the university. When students come, I like to do the introductory levels. They are big classes and sometimes strenuous. You can even have a delay on your own personal stuff that will lead to your promotion and all that. Younger colleagues should take lower levels, but it will help you if your foundation in the discipline is strong enough. And I believe that some of us are graced with that. Okay, so just to answer that your question you asked, I've used it to show you what the heartbeat of your examination or assessment will be. my lady, to know how you are able, you as a class, a student of the course, the philosophical questions, you are able to use the questions, the discussions, the theories, the point of views that we have engaged, how you're able to use that to deal with practical problems of existence. So your questions will be practical. There will be essays that are showing you are going to show us how the theory, say, of Descartes' dream argument, for example, how relevant it is, how useful that discussion was in a certain context. Ortega, Plato's reality versus appearance. How is that useful in trying to so and so and so and so? Okay, I want to be careful before I give away my questions. So look at topic 1. What is philosophy? How do we study philosophy? Kwame Gyekye's claim, emphasis that when you do a theorizing, a reflection, and you get enlightenment, clarity, conceptual clarity, make sure that that philosophical reflection ultimately aims at what? Dealing with everyday problems of existence. It means don't stay outside of the cave where you see the real nature of justice, what good really is, what beauty is, what is a just society, what is justice. If you do some question asking, exploration, investigation, reflection, conceptual analysis, these are all tools, okay? When you do that and you grab or you get a better view of the notion of justice, return to the confused folks down there and throw light on it. Let them see a perspective that they have not considered because they thought they knew it all. This looks like Plato, topic 1, topic 2 now, okay? So the topic 1, which is introductory and which talked about how you should do philosophy and what the methods and what have you had, and then talked about Kwame Gyekye's view of what philosophy is and how it is done, ties in beautifully with Plato's theory of forms arising from the allegory of the cave, which we discussed. That was our topic 2. But you see that I can have a question that straddles the 2 topics. So you may see only 5 questions, and that's what you will see, 5 questions. But it will cover all topics. I see, but your hand is gone down. I just wanted to finish. I'll call you. Okay, so don't get worked up. Keep it up if you still have a question there. 5 questions, you answer any 2. But I want to warn students, especially those who like to punch. They'll say that, oh, if we did 7 topics, then by all means, I will learn only, let's say, I will learn Descartes and so and so. So it means they are focusing, their learning is on just 2 topics. So that when they come, they just answer questions from those 2 topics. That's not safe because the question may straddle Ortega, Plato, and Descartes. And it's one question standing there. Not difficult. It won't be difficult to. But if you didn't know what Ortega said, and you were asked to say, relate that to Plato's theory of forms and show how his essentialism contradicts Ortega's existentialism, for example, you see that you are caught in a fix because perhaps you punched and said, I will just answer the Ortega question. No, it's not, you won't have that kind. It's applied. You applied. You use the theories. You won't just repeat them or narrate them or recount them. Okay. So that anybody at all who has engaged the course is able to answer. That's the target. And more importantly, is able to use them, these theories and these points of views, when they are in actual world. You see, investigative posture, the question of informed consent, for example, consequentialism versus deontology. I want to ask you, what is a consequentialist theory? State the 3 types of consequentialism and determine which one is more. I mean, that is not philosophy. You see, that kind of question is not a philosophical question. And the course is called philosophical questions at a level 100. At level 100, yes. So we can ask you very basic philosophy question, but the question must be a philosophical one, not a recall question. You see, I want to stress that, not distinguish, no, not even distinguish, state the three types of, or the two types of utilitarianism and state say. Now say state there, then if you wrote the thing on your tithes, at the exam where you say, please, I want to go and use the washroom, you go there, then you go and open your tie and look at rules and then you look at act. Am I giving you ideas? No. Some guy will go and check the abrasia somewhere. Apologies, my sisters, and go and check and come back. This one, you can go with all the textbooks and everything that you have to the exam hall. I'm not asking you to look at something and tell me what you saw. You will use the ideas. So you should have already known the ideas. Then when you go, you apply it to answer the question. And so just to put some flesh to it, remember the one that we looked at in the textbook. I said in the textbook, in our slides, when we discussed in class, you can still see them. The sample questions I put in the slides when I present a topic. The one on informed consent like this, I use the Ijabintum one. You are supposed to advise as a consultant to that hospital whether we should ignore what Ijabintum is asking for. He says, don't give me blood. Remember that discussion. The links are still there. If you don't know how to trace it on the YouTube channel, don't worry your head. You can still come and find it on your assessment. Just at the YouTube channel, you have all the recordings for all campuses and all places in one box. So when you enter it, you just find what you are looking for and play it and then get it. When you go through Sakai, you will find the links, the address, so to speak, there for the specific one. Go to announcement 2 and go through all the announcements there. You see each link that is specific to your course site. That's what you will find. So I can't be sharing main and city campus 2 groups each. That would be 4 groups per topic. You see, I can't be doing that on the same course site. You have so many now, you know. But if it is on the channel, it's labeled and placed there. The other courses I do too are there. Then you find it and play. I said, Ijabintum's thing is there. The question then was, should we listen to Ijabintum? Because he said he doesn't want the blood. But his life is in danger, and you are the physician, you are a surgeon. You know your stuff. You can operate on his heart. If he will just allow you to play, to be what? To have a precaution, which is what? To have blood on standby. I'm going to deliver you a triplet because there was an emergency. You rushed to the hospital. You see. But the folder that came has a caveat written on it. I don't take blood. You think about it. The babies are in mommy's auntie's tummy. She says no, she doesn't want blood. What should the physician do? If they live in, this person is dying on them. This is not asking you what is ethics. What are the types of ethics? Emotivism and subjective. No. That one is record. It's the raw material. Put the food together. Let us have banku and okra stew on the table and eat. That's what we want. What we did as theories and discussion is what? The corn dough, cassava dough, okra. We give you pepper, we show you the fish. Some of them can show you how to grate it and all that. Now you have the raw materials, which are what? The theories. Who said what? And when did the person say it? And what was his reason for saying it? We now want to use it to do something. So you should be able to know why, for example, Descartes thinks that what? I can't trust the senses. His dream argument, the evil genius argument. He even doubted mind as a source of knowledge. What was he looking for? And why did he take that approach? Why the systematic doubting? Why was he foundationalist in his approach? Was he an absolute skeptic? Why wouldn't you call him an absolute skeptic, but you still think he's a philosophical skeptic? You see just one topic, see the things I've said around that. I could ask you 10 essay questions from just Descartes, as we discussed it. Okay, applied, you use it. And so the Descartes one too, in previous years, I said mob justice. I wish I could pull that exam question. If we had some time, I could do that. See, said instant justice, or what some of you call the mob justice, is not justifiable. Okay. How would you support, how do I even put it? How do you support this claim from our discussions of Descartes. I'll try and see if I can find the picture, that question, full of practical questions. And they all touched on what? The discussions we had. So how would you use Descartes' discussion that we had on the dream argument, the evil, his general doubt of what sensationally to support or justify, a friend is saying, instant justice as what? How will you use it? How will you use Descartes to support? I think we can look at this one. Just a minute. Showing you how we'll ask you questions, why we need to cover all the topics, sister who asked the question. How to cover all. So it can be a 2-in-1 question, it can be a single question standing there. Okay. Nasiba, please ask your own question now. Please. If you still have it there. I've used sister's question, good morning, my lady, to show you the number of questions, how many you will answer, how the questions will come, how it is that it may be on a topic, but the topic may straddle another. Okay, it has been answered. Okay, beautiful. So I'm sharing currently on the screen. I want one of you to read for me. This will be shared to all the channel, so it's accessible to everyone. Please put up your hand if you can read for me quickly. What you see on anyone wants to read quickly, quick blah. Okay, so let me take Zuera Sani. I could take Kofi Afedo later. Zuera, please read what you see for me, please. Oh, let's start. This one, you know it, so we shouldn't bother us. You see, it was an exam question. This is 2020-2021. I think it's last year. I already told you. And I said, answer any 2 questions, 20 marks each. It was then for 40 marks. When we did fully Sakai, then the number of hours, it won't exceed 1.5 hours. In fact, it should be 1 hour, but because people take their time to write, and we aren't all the same, so you allow some few minutes for people to mop up. But 30 minutes for a question, essay question level 100 should be okay. Look at the mark. The mark is 50, half of the semester, half of your total. Okay. In the past, final exam would have been 70%. Then interim assessment will be 30. That's only 2. Then the university's posture has changed to try and assess the student continually, because a one-off exam could be very detrimental. If you're a lady and you went to that time of the month on that day, you are just losing 70 marks like that. Well, you can't think well to think of a subjectivism or mood swings, crumbs here and there. You see, but if you spread it, then you have a fair idea of how the student performs, and you know how many assignments you have already done in the course, even with your class size. Okay, so the point I'm making is, what you see up here is a good picture of what you may see again. Just that the mark will be 25 marks each for the 2 questions you will answer. By the time, I don't plan to increase it, and I don't plan to decrease it. So think in your head that you are using 30 minutes to express or to give a response to the question that has been asked, for whichever question you choose. And I won't give you any compulsory question. Level 300 will have a compulsory question 1, and then they will choose another one from the rest to get their 50. Okay, so this is it. And then I'm saying that the Ejab Entum example, this is what I put in the slides later. Okay, so you have seen it. If someone has not seen it, we may want to read it for him or her to see. Quickly, it's just as a way of revising. Please go ahead, my lady. Oh, the lady who was supposed to, was it a lady? Zuera. If you are not there, then I take someone else. Oh, Zuera. Oh, I didn't pronounce your name well. Yvette, then go ahead, please. I said I'll call Afedo. Good morning, my lady. Please read it.
Ejab Entum's religious appreciation upholds his blood transfusion, but doctors believe he would die without a transfusion, since he has already been resuscitated twice using
like revived.
Okay. Using CPR. after heart attacks. Another CPR in a strong view of his specialist doctor would be medically futile without the option of blood transfusion.
So that's futile, medically dangerous. Okay, if we
Yeah.
didn't add a blood transfusion. Yes, please go ahead.
Yet his family, head, children, and wife are willing to consent to the transfusion. Ejan insists on no transfusion, refuses to sign a do not re- res- resuscitate
Resuscitate, resuscitate. My sister,
resuscitate
jump
order,
there,
but still
resuscitate and go. Why? How? How?
okay, order, but still hopes to live as long as possible. The doctor The doctor brings the issue to the medical ethics committee, which you heard. Okay. For deliberation and a decision, what will be your decision to resolve this ethical dilemma? Will you favor the patient's autonomy over the principle of non-maleficence, and would you admit the family decision which is opposed to the decision of the patient himself in the name of ensuring beneficence? Why or why not?
You see, so this is a typical applied philosophical question. It is not what is non-maleficence, what is patient autonomy, what is informed consent. Give the 4 steps of informed. No. That is not that is not university exam cry. I'm telling you, no sincerity. It can be an IA question because we are still assessing you. Interim assessment. It could be a homework, an assignment. Assignments have a purpose, and sometimes people don't know if you are properly trained. It's not every assessment that is aimed at showing whether you know the thing or not. Some assessments are rather meant to help you know the thing. So we assess you in a way that will make you read. Like if I assigned a reading to the class and tell you, I will mark that. In other words, I will reward that work. The reading assignment, where you do a critical summary of what you read, is meant to make you go and get the information. It is not meant to test you whether you know it or not, because you don't know. It's a reading assignment. So you are rewarded for that effort at going to engage the content. And I want that to go in very well for a lot of people. But when it is an examination, look at the word, it's not an assessment. Oh, check, yeah, you are not checking to see. No, examination there, you are trying to see if the person knows it or not. You are examining. So here, recall questions should be less. A few of them, of course, because you must know what beneficence is, non-maleficence is, what patient autonomy is, to be able to answer this question. So it will be implied in it. But the question proper, which is a high-level question, which is what university education does, is what? The one that tries to check whether you can synthesize, you can evaluate, you can contribute to the discourse. That is the one. So this one is an example of what I'm saying. This is obviously on ethics. This is on medical ethics. You see them, non-maleficence, patient autonomy, beneficence. You see them there. Inside this is the dignity of the person. You see the relational accounts of what? Human person in there. Because the family folks want to make the decision for this, their brother or uncle or father. And so you are now supposed to make an ethical decision because there's a dilemma. If you listen to what the family folks are saying, you may be trampling on the rights or the autonomy of Ejabintu. If you don't listen to the family too, you may be hurting Ejabintu. You see, because Ejabintu may be reacting wrongly because of his sickness. So you are in a dilemma. Dilemma means when you pass left, there's trouble. When you pass right, there's trouble. It doesn't give you a straightforward answer, but you are the head of an ethical committee, a medical ethics committee. You have to make a decision, because even if you don't make any decision, you have chosen not to. You see, if you choose not to choose, you have chosen. So you have to choose. What will you do? And why will you do? Why will you do what you will do? That is even the part that is so stressful. If you were just asked, what would you admit the family decision, or you would rather listen to the autonomy of the patient? Or you may even consider you are the doctor, so perhaps you would insist on what? Paternalism. You are the boss. You know this, the field. They don't know what they are talking about. So you ignore both patient and family, and take care of this man the way you know best. That's even an option as well. No problem. Whatever you think, you the particular person responding to the question, not philosophers, not the class. This time, not our family, not church. You. What will you do if you were in this position? And then why? Upon assimilation, that's where the problem is. People don't have reasons for what they do. They just do it. That would be problematic. So if you got this question, this is a typical example of an applied question. And you are seeing it was an exam that some people took. They did excellently well. The people who are now in level 200, going to 300, I'm referring to them. Excellent class. You ask them, they will tell you, generally, they did very well. Okay, let's have someone read the second question. I'm very confident that this class will also do well. I've already told you that. I don't want you to be complacent, though. But I think generally people have engaged. Okay, let me take Francis Kofi then. Then I'll have Mensa, Forsen, Kingsley Kumida, was Fedo. Fedo's hand went down, so I don't know if he had to go somewhere. Kofi Fedo. So Francis Kofi, read the second question for me. Unless you have your own question. Please unmute first. If Francis is busy, can I have, okay, go ahead, sir. Francis, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Oh, yes, it's better now. Go ahead. I can hear you. Hello, Bra Kofi.
An employee has been accused of theft and brought. An employee has been accused. An employee has been accused of theft and brought before the disciplinary committee of the outfit for hearing. The employee pleads not guilty because he needed the money only to pay for prescribed drugs to save a sick dying mother before it was too late. A. Act deontological or consequentialist. Why? B. Did he act altruistically, egoistically, or by utility? Justify your answer.
Very good. So this is also another applied one. We are not asking you what is deontology, which philosopher is a deontologist. Compare and contrast deontology with concept. No. There is an issue, real life, practical issue. I told your friends yesterday, now that I've remembered, that in the morning when I was going for their lecture, going to the office, so I prepare for their lecture in the afternoon. That's yesterday. I got a divine revelation from the Holy Spirit. They laughed their hearts off. That there should be a question on Galamsey. The question is clear in my mind. You will see the word Galamsey in your exam, but I don't know if I don't know where it will fall, under which frame it should fall. Just for you to do is about actual life. The discussions we are having is about actual practical issues. So the earlier one was at the hospital. Now here we are at the office. Yet we are applying consequentialism, egoism, utility, altruism. This, all these concepts. If you were to write the meaning of consequentialism on a wall somewhere, it won't answer this question. You can even go with the textbook there. I'm not saying do that. I'm just showing you how desperate you can be if you haven't engaged the theories. But if you know them, then you are now ready to think. It is your mind, that beautiful mind God gave you, that we are trying to get at. You have something in there as a thinker. That's why philosophy has ended. You have something to contribute. So we want to hear it. You may be repeating what someone else has said, but you will be in it. There's nothing new under the sun. So you answer this a question like this one. Is the man's action, the employee's action, a deontological one or a consequentialist one? And why do you say that? You see, then the second part of that same question is a two-in-one question. Is what? If you say it's deontological or consequentialist, we have heard you. Would you say he acted altruistically, egoistically, or by utility? Someone may say, oh, I think that his action was egoistic because he really didn't want people to point fingers at him that he couldn't take care of his mother. It's all about he himself. He looked out for his own interest. Someone will say, how can you say that? Oh, yes. Stealing the money to take care of his mother will clean his shame. People will not say, you big man, you are working there, you couldn't take care of it. So it is really he himself. That's an argument that can go for the one who said it was an egoistic act after all. The only thing is when you say that, justify your answer, show us why you think it was really egoistic. People say, like what I just said, right? Oh, I want to make sure that I do things that will help you people, and so that you have a better training and all that. Someone can say, well, you better training and everything. Then you too, you will be seen as a good lecturer. It's always about you, ultimately. Even giving to the poor, beggarly, philanthropical act. Some have criticized that it is still egoistic. Whoever is giving that will get satisfaction, inner contentment that, I've given all these people joy. It is still about them. You see how people think? Yes. And so someone can interpret the action of the employee as egoistic. It is still about the interest of he himself. Another person may see utility in what he did, whilst others might think of this altruistically. The point then is not whether you said egoistic, utility, or altruistically, but your ability to justify your answer makes us know that you know the concept and you can apply it and you can detect it in everyday life. That was question 2. Let's take question 3. Thank you, Francis Kofi. I want Mensa Forson to read question 3 for me. Naomi, please go ahead.
Madam. Okay. Yes, madam. Kwame Jete explains philosophy as a conceptual response to practical problems of human existence. Like Plato, he argues that the enlightened thinker is duty-bound to return with the light to the disillusioned prisoners in the cave of life. Explain what these philosophers mean with practical examples.
You see that? Here too,
Yes, please.
Here too, we are not telling you to go and tell us what Plato said. In fact, we have even told you what he said. Then we have showed you that what he said is like what Plato is saying. There is a certain comparison you can make in how they are both speaking. Now, you should tell us what they mean, meaning, not state what they said. So it is testing your understanding of the claims they are making. Conceptual response to practical human existence, the problems of human existence. The other one says the enlightened thinker is duty-bound to return to the disillusioned prisoners in the cave of life. What is cave of life? Which people are the ones this Plato man is calling disillusioned prisoners? Are they disillusioned really? So he says it's a test of your understanding of the allegory of the cave. Plato's world of forms versus his world of appearance is here. How to do philosophy is here because the teacher is showing you how to do philosophy. Okay, what is philosophy? Conceptual analysis. So when you do the meaning expatiation, you expand and do the connections thereof. You would have said, oh, I've done my own bit. No, sir. Look, they said, do that with what? Practical examples. Illustrate it. So use illustrations to show the point they are making. So that for someone, say, that is why if you were, you reflected and came to a clearer meaning of what it means to be a slave to someone, for example, then we may stop. We as a country may reconsider the idea of carrying our books all around. Because maybe being a slave is not just because what a certain colonial ruler has come into your nation and has brought a governor to come and rule. If it were so, then we will not be colonized currently because we don't have any governor from the British. Say Charles McCarthy and Gordon Gorgesbeck, they've gone. But every morning, we are going a begging, sir. You should just do an interrogation of the issue. You will see that we are begging. Right now, we are not suppressed. We are not being suppressed. Now, we are begging. In the morning, they will go, please. My children will go to school. They don't have anything that they eat. So, embarrassment, sir. Can we have a clarity about what it means to be a just society? You are using these examples to show that after you do such reflection and come to terms with what? A certain clarity, a certain point of view. What is marriage? I always ask this, sometimes during critical thinking, I say, people spend so much time on the ceremony of marriage. When you are celebrating the marriage, the day that you are, just the ceremony, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, at most 3 hours. So much time. But marriage goes beyond that. The concept of marriage is bigger than that. So if we have, what is a respectful funeral? When you say someone has passed, so you want to honor the person. Must it mean 1 week, 40 days? What's the other one? 60 days, 3 years. The person is in the fridge body. Who is thinking about this? It's very frustrating because the person passed away. Those of you who do critical thinking, I was speaking about this in our interaction, and then also our level 300. When I was doing social and political philosophy with them, we're discussing some of our cultural practices that we may want to reconsider. I respect certain religious group when it comes to this one. They don't waste time on dead body. Not because they don't love those people. The essential, there comes Plato's essentialism. It is here. It is in this question. The essential part of the person is gone. What is left, which we respect, yes, because that was the house, the abode that the reality lived in. The body is the container that the spirit or the soul or whatever lived in. Our brother at City Campus. We are at City Campus. I'm referring. Our brother's body may so rest in peace now. His body, wherever it is now, we revere it, we respect him, because the body keeps us reminded. You see, it is the body we saw. When I come and I'm looking for microphone or whatever he was doing to assist them, it is his face you see, so you can't easily forget it like that. But I tell you, if I keep the body 1 week, 1 month, 40 days, 2 years, now the way we are thinking about the thing is sick. We have to reflect, says Plato. Calmly reflect and ask yourself pertinent questions. Is this worth the stress? You see that this is not dealing directly with the empirical versus the non-empirical that Plato actually was dealing with. His world of appearance versus the world of reality. But the illustration is symbolic to what? Getting philosophical education, which transcends what? The empirical. So this is how we do things. Yes, that's fine. Should we keep doing it that way? Can we have an alternative way of respecting the dead? Maybe if you can respect the dead so much so that you don't keep the body lying there. Go to the mortuary. My mommy passed some years back. So I whenever I hear a person, it can be very depressing for me. Look, when they put her, the thing is so real. Sometimes it's not someone that is close to you. I saw my mom in the mortuary, they don't wear dresses there. People. Anyway. So we should think about the things what they did not will be so no be so do. I say, brah, what is this? The whole place is crowded, very depressing. What are we doing with all these bodies packed there like that? Why? Okay, for the interim, no problem. This one, somebody's own has been there 6 years. They are waiting. So would you want to see the admonishment? So you see, there's several practical examples I'm giving you. If we were thinking about this thing, conceptually analyzing stuff, the concept of marriage, the concept of family, would you treat that stepdaughter that way if you just reflected on what family should be, not what it is? Because what it is what experience has taught us in the cave. Disillusioned prisoners. Obibadi, somebody's child there, you don't take care of them that way, they will come and sit on you later. Maybe reflect. What if you don't have your own? Or what if tomorrow he or she is the one that is better placed in life? If you are thinking about, then you conceptualize family as what? Something higher than just blood. And as you come out of those entanglements of the physical body and get a better view of how you should think about human society and its organization, Plato says, don't be happy knowing it for yourself, because, and then just saying, these people, they don't know beauty. This Ghana is most beautiful they are giving. This is not what beauty should be. Can you contribute? Come down to their level and suggest patiently, of course, because you yourself, when you're coming back into the cave, says Plato, you will be once I know the you can't even see clearly because the people are steep in that darkness as you see it. So we can move from heliocentric view to geocentric view, the examples I gave you, that the empirical scientist says the earth is in the center of the universe for many years. How did they know that? Empirical. That is directly Plato. But it turns out that it wasn't true. So the experience, the five senses, the world of experience within the cave may not be giving you what reality. Look at the examples from science to medicine to everyday life to practice, just trying to what? Illustrate what these two thinkers are saying about what? Returning to the cave, or what? Letting philosophy respond to practical problems of existence. None of them is a straightforward matter that I have gone to look into the textbook and I'm seeing. It is how you are thinking, your mind, and how you are relating the concept. Very good. Now I can take Bavo and Estina, and then Kingsley will do the last question. Bavo, please go ahead. Thank you, my lady who read. Bavo, question 4, please. Okay, Kingsley, if you are able to kindly.
Okay, mommy. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
When he finishes, I saw that you were coming. So Kingsley, go ahead.
Okay. Question 4. Whether I study for the exam or not, what is meant to be will be. Critically examine this assertion based on our discussions on Ortega's Man Has No Nature and the determinist response.
Very good. This one can't be a question directed to you. Just a part of it could be one that this class will answer. But the other part on determinism, we didn't dwell on it much. We dwelt on something else this semester. We will look at free will determinism later, but it is still something that can be tweaked here and there for you to address. You see, whether I study for the exam or not, what is meant to be will be. You know, if I want to, I can just leave it like that and ask you, critically examine this assertion based on our discussions on Ortega's Man Has No Nature, full stop, and it is still relevant to you. Ortega says the idea that man has something that is fixed and unchanging essence or reality within him that he cannot do anything about is something that he cannot subscribe to. That he, Ortega, will never agree to that view. He thinks that this idea that man has a certain essence that is fixed and unchanging. It's not true. He doesn't believe that. Now, which people say that? Is the essentialist. Those who believe that there is something that makes you who you are, without which, you see, that's Plato and his folks, and spiritus people. Those of us who are spiritus. So maybe if we listen to Ortega very well, we might see what his heartbeat is and tell him, don't worry yourself. You don't need to negate what we are saying to be able to make a point. Your point is very salient. We think you are saying so much that is relevant. But you don't have to negate our view to say that. That's why we tell him that didn't he ultimately arrive at one thing that is compulsory to our being, which is what? We are compulsorily free. So he himself has given an instance of what? An essence, something that is essential to our being. So what is this thing that Ortega is saying? If what he's saying is true, then we cannot say a human person is determined to be something. Therefore, if you sit down and say what God has determined for me is what will happen. So whether I read or I don't read, I'll do fine. Whether I read or I don't read, what will be, will be. That's a fatalistic posture to life. What will be, yes, maybe. What is determined to happen? You know, that kind of thing. What God has said, that is what will come to pass. No problem. I know who I am. I'm a child of God. I was born the head, not the tail. Head, not the tail. Head. If you don't learn, I'm telling you, if you don't learn, you'll be last. Meanwhile, the word is true because you have to let God be true. Let Him. Let God be true and all men lies. So something might have been said. If you don't do what will lead to that, you won't get there. So this is what the heartbeat of that discussion was. So you don't sleep on the day of exam. Exam starts, let's say 3:30, I think, for you guys. 3 o'clock, brother is asleep, lying down. 3:15, he has taken his sponge and towel. He's going to bath. Exam starts 3:30. When you ask him, you say, oh, what will be? Hey, Sarah. What will be. Don't stress yourself. Whatever God has said, that is what happened today. Hey, Brian. You will let God be a liar. Because the exam will start at 3:30. Then you get there 3:35. They stress you afterwards, you sit down. They give you the work, you sit down looking at it. And your pen is on the table and you're not writing. You think for 30 minutes, you're still not writing. You say, Miku, I'm tired, let me rest a little. You sleep a little. Exam hall. When the invigilator taps you and says, aren't you doing the work? You tell him what will be. If I'll get an A, I'll get it, whether I write the exam or I don't write. Is that it? No. So there is a point that Ortega is making, even if you were determinist. In other words, you will learn determinism later. If what you will be is already fixed, that you don't have control over your choices, my brother. Choosing not to choose is still a choice. You have chosen. So the question here, whether I study or I do not study, what will be. If you interrogate it well, it's showing Ortega's point of view about what? Man being able to make a change of a kind in his or her circumstances, and therefore shouldn't sit there saying that something is fixed and unchanging about their life. And so they are there waiting for what is fixed to become what they will be. No, you have to make a contribution to the discourse. So that is what the question is asking you to do. And I'm sure folks can do it easily if it were to come. Of course, you won't have a repetition of questions. Thank you, Kingsley. Is Ernestina able to read for us? Ernestina? If not, someone else? Anybody else able to read for us, please? Thank you, Faiza. Faiza, go ahead. Afterwards, I can take Victoria Tete. I see Gabriel Dodu's hand too. So Faiza, go ahead.
Question 5. People choose X over Y because of external factors such as the circumstances of their birth, upbringing, education, environment, and genetic structure. Critically assess the contributions such a view makes to shaping the concept of punishment as creative but not retributive.
Very good. That question is not for you at all. This is typically the two forms of free willism and determinism at play. People choose X over Y because of external fact. This is deterministic. You do it later. So we haven't discussed that topic. So we skip it, okay? Last one. Sister, read the last one then. Oh, if sister is busy, then I'll take Victoria Tete now. Vicky, go ahead.
Okay, madam, please, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Question 6. Using Descartes' two arguments against sensory knowledge, make a case against mob or instant justice. Use practical illustrations.
Exactly. So this is what I was trying to give a rendition of it. That is why I went for this question. Using Descartes' two arguments against sensory knowledge. Descartes makes two arguments against sensory knowledge. The dream argument and then the limitations of the senses argument. So we say using those two, make a case against mob or instant justice. We know instant justice. No, agbala chatu. Agbala, you know. Before head people are pulled there now. They are going to beat a thief. We want you to use practical illustrations to show why mob or instant justice may not be justified or justifiable. What should you do? Link it to Descartes' two arguments. This is where the theory comes in. If you haven't engaged that theoretical discussion and you are just talking, hey, mob justice is not good, and because of this, no, you have done well, but you haven't answered the question. The question is connected to Descartes' two arguments, not even the evil genius argument. You see, evil genius argument doesn't come in. It is the two arguments against sensory knowledge that we want you to appeal to from Descartes' point of view, and use that to show why we are not supposed to engage in what? Mob justice. You had thief, then you immediately pull tires and petrol and spark fire into the person and burn the person alive. Or you had, hey, he's a girl, I'm saying my thing. No, you take stones and stone a fine gentleman to death. Just like that. Because you think you have proven that he's a thief. How did you prove it? You saw him or you heard something. But these are your senses. Descartes says they could deceive you. Even if you are right, how do you determine a commensurate punishment or whatever you think? Do you take life? Life is sacrosanct. You don't give it. So you don't have any justification to take something you cannot give. If it's money that I can give you, then maybe you can go and make a case about it. But you are taking life. And look how you are doing it. Will you do that to a chicken? Apologies. Will you do that to chicken, even lizard on your wall? You take cement block and you are hitting someone's son. And your reason is you saw it or you heard it. When Descartes is telling us something here. So you see what I just did? I used practical illustrations, the marketplace. Before you know it, they're beating the person. I like the thievery one because it works for the law setting. I mean, look at the whistleblowers thing. You saw videos of a referee putting money in his socks. So what? Where should he put it? He's going to run on the field. If I'm holding my own money, crying, I'm coming. Where will I put? Even some mummies put their money in a handkerchief tied and fix it in the strap of their brazier. They fix it there. It's secured. When you see me fixing it there, you take a video of it and come and say that I saw a class rep, Prince, pulling the lecturer's phone from her back pocket. So he's a thief. Is that how you diagnose them? So I just gave practical illustrations to make the point. And if you know these things, 20 minutes at most, you should be done with your essay. Relaxed, right? Concise, straight to the point, essays. when you are writing. Those on the mentors platform, I think sometime last week or so, I put some reminders to help you. And they are for level 100, that is what we have been discussing. So I think it's fresher in your mind. But some of the people there are in levels 300, some are postgraduate students and stuff like that. So I think they would also find the content useful. I put it there. Make sure that you are writing simple, straight to the point statement. No elongated, winding, run about 3 lines, 4 lines. There's no comma, full stop, nothing. Oh, you don't write philosophy that way. You do that, the chances of error are high, or is high. You see, just go straight to the point. And then your introduction. When you are given an essay question, especially in philosophy, and learn that skill, you see that it will make your work so beautiful, elegant, not scattered all over we are saying some of everything. No. Elegant, straight to the point. No unnecessary embellishment. No, not for philosophy. The brightness of this day has given me the opportunity to introduce this paper as this. It is, then people want to write some big brofo that they've heard that they don't understand, but they are writing, even in emails. Right? Sometimes when I read some of the emails, I say, hey, babe, right? Just write simple. Look, there is beauty in simplicity. It's elegant. Look at the queen. Have you seen the queen wearing these disco light dresses and things? No. She's royal. Some nice round, diamond kind of earring, cute one. Quality. Hairstyle, cute, rounded. Exposing her pronounced places. And yet, red, gold, green, black, high heels, no. There's a place for each one of them. Our dresses are, So let's try and be elegant. In this paper, that's an introduction. That's the beginning of the sentence. Your paragraph 1, introduction. There's no time for discussing the question of, so where is that question we're dealing with? Let me use that. So discussing mob justice or instant justice has become pertinent in these hard times because of the rampancy of Ademi, we didn't ask you to tell us the important. We didn't ask you to tell us the importance of the mob justice discussion. No, it doesn't add anything. It's an embellishment that is of no consequence. You have been asked. So let's say we were dealing with the the Descartes question 6, using Descartes' 2 argument against sensory knowledge. Make a case against mob or instant justice. Use practical illustrations. Let's suppose that is what you have been asked to do. Your introduction. In this paper, I intend to make a case against mob or instant justice by recounting Descartes' 2 arguments against sensory knowledge and presenting practical illustrations to make that point. In paragraph 1, I discuss so and so. Paragraph 2 will focus on so and so. The third paragraph will embark or will engage practical instances in law, politics, such things. Okay. Ultimately, I conclude that mob justice is hard to defend. Full stop. That's your introduction. The dead, the theft, when you are reading it, you are in a hurry to give 30 over 30. Yours will be 25. You are in a hurry. Because the person knows what he wants to do. It's like the plan of the building. You have told us what you are going to do. You are going to consistently do so to the end. In the introduction, you said, I will show that this one, mob justice, is not defensible. Okay, it's hard to defend. By the time you end your paper, you shouldn't be saying that sometimes to the thieves too, they are annoying. So if you beat them, you haven't done anything wrong. That's inconsistency. If you beat them without, taking them through the full processes of the law, you are justified. Because sometimes how they steal the phones is heart-wrenching because the phone's owner may be needing it. You are inconsistent in your argumentation. Take a view. So that was your introduction I did. Now, what you said you do in paragraph 1, you take it and do that. So paragraph 1 starts. Did we say we will discuss the 2 arguments in paragraph 1? Yes. So you say, according to Descartes. Why am I saying according to? Because I already told the reader in my introduction that in paragraph 1, I had discussed Descartes' 2 arguments that he makes against sensory knowledge. In paragraph 2, I will show how it relates to the mob justice issue. And in paragraph 3, I will give practical examples to show that. That's what I've said. So it's a plan of work. I'll first prepare the banku, cut the okras. When I finish, I'll do the onion and this and the momone. Then, so when you are in the kitchen, we hear the momone scent, we know that you have reached the momone stage. The next will be the onion. The next will be that is how we read philosophical texts. So everyone is patiently waiting for you. Whoever is reading along that line. Okay. Now, so you do that paragraph by paragraph. Support it with your supporting statement. And then you finish the paragraphs. Then the conclusion. Conclusion tells us what you have done. How will you know what you've done? You told us what you are going to do in the introduction. So your conclusion and your introduction are saying the same thing. Just that one is, look at the name, is introducing. That's how you interview people also. That's how you present the State of the Nation's address also. That's how you go for evangelism. When you are preaching, you tell the people what we want to engage today. It's a teaching service. When you finish, so what have we done so far? As we go home, let's remember that the Father is this. You are recounting what you said you are going to present. It's a presentation, very simple. No cumbersome stuff. It's philosophy. So if you go and do long talk, you might be saying things that you can't substantiate. So you make it concise, straight to the point. That's what I'm saying. So in conclusion, the above paragraphs, this is writing style. So you don't have to repeat what I've said, but you have to write to communicate that. I could say in the foregoing, in the preceding sessions, you don't have to say foregoing or preceding sessions if you don't know that word. There are knowing things to be using expressions and words in the scattered. I don't want to embarrass anyone. I would have gone into my email. Right? You see the email sometimes. You don't even understand what the person is saying. Doc, it is incumbent upon us that even as you have generously redressed this, you say, oh, can it be brave? But sometimes when you read that, there is some small line be there says that, is it possible to have the assignment reopened? Then you know that, Asuma, this is what the person is trying to say with all this redress and cumbersome. Don't do that with this exam. This is what you will put down. Your IAs and your in-class assessment and what have you are always on the shelf. People come and pick it back. You have to see your progress and improve. But exam scripts are not for the student. They are the pink sheets for the elections. So it is kept for easy referencing all the time. So we can't play around that. I will mark it strictly as a University of Ghana exam. But you can do it too. You can do well too. Yes, I don't think that when you go, Doc said this one day, you could have overlooked this. I don't overlook anything. I have to show that I know my stuff. And then you, the student, should be assessed on the basis of what? A marking scheme that we have agreed on. Okay. So it is important that you do the right. And that's why, see how much time we have committed into preparing you for the exam as we revise also. All the discussions we had on the screen are revisory. They are helping you remember the topics we've done. So you do it that way. Then you go. So in the foregoing chapters, in the preceding chapters, so far, in sum, this paper sought to show, see the language has changed, that mob or instant justice is not justifiable. In paragraph 1, I discussed so and so and so. Paragraph 2 did so and so and so. The third paragraph, you may not want to say paragraph, this paragraph. It's a writing style. But I want to say, I attempted to do this. I followed up with a discussion of this, and I concluded in the preceding section with so and so and so discussion. Ultimately, I hope to have shown that there is no case whatsoever for instant justice, regardless of the degree of certainty people may have. Full stop. Maybe 25 over 25. If you didn't do, I didn't did it, it didn't went, that shall I. You're writing something along this line. At your own level, you are in level 100. But you are trying, you can get 23, 24 over 25. You see. But I didn't were disorganized. You say something a little here, come and say something here. We don't know what the person is. What is the person's position? What at all is he trying to put across that I can't get? You get 9. Sometimes people get 5. I don't think anyone will get 5 too. Okay, so that is just to give you a fair idea of how to. I think I've covered everything that I did with the main campus folks. Any questions? Are these hands for questions, or you wanted to read for me? Kingsley read for me earlier. Miss Lady also read. No, Miss Lady wanted to read. I don't know if Gabriel or you wanted to read. If there are questions, please keep your hand up. If there are no questions, then kindly drop your hands. So on the cultural identity, what I said I'll introduce you to. The book, the PDF is still there. Gabriel, is yours a question? Your hand is up. Gabriel, do. Okay, so it is just a quick introduction. Okay, thank you, sir. I'm just introducing you quickly to it, multiculturalism and the notion of cultural identity. So the focus is on cultural identity in a multicultural state. Identifying people culturally. We often hear the discussion that Ghanaians are losing their identity, their cultural identity. Now you can't even tell who a Ghanaian is any longer. Ghanaians, especially the women, how they are dressing. Young boy is sitting down, grandma is passing, grandma is standing in the bus. So he won't get up. This is not Ghanaian. Can't afford it. We look out for each other. We respect. We value people. We greet. When you have a neighbor, you are interested in their welfare. But now, this is someone complaining on that we are losing our cultural identity. Okay. Within the Ghanaian setting, people are fighting for their identity culturally. You can't impose this thing on us. The seat of government cannot be a stool. We don't do stools. We do a skin. Why is it that they want to make us look as if we are all so and so ethnic group and not the other one? It's not our culture. We come for stuff like that. The national language cannot be Twi, cannot be this, because we are not that. So you can see that there is a heartbeat for a so-called cultural identity that may be going bad. Now, the discussion in that paper is quite wide, and so we will take time to engage it somewhat in some detail in later years, okay? But what can you tease out, even at this level, as introduction? It is a certain very important point that says that accidental notion, cultural identity, must not be confused with what essential notion of cultural identity. So it means that the term cultural identity would have to be understood in 2 different ways. One of them, you can defend it. The other one, you can't defend it because there isn't any such. So when you think of cultural identity, this is the author's claim. When you think of cultural identity as an essential feature of a person, when you think of cultural identity as something that is essential to a person, so you speak Twi. So I think that because you speak Twi, the language, therefore you are Asante or you are Achim. You may be a Ga, but very fluent in Twi. I speak some good guy, at least some 40, 50% or 60, 70 there. And I write Ga. I can't write one line of Fanti. But they tell me I'm a Fanti. I say they tell me because philosophically, it's a choice, really. And when you say this, sometimes people think, what are you saying? Are you not the one who said? So I'm asking you, the person who wants to argue. You are born by a grandfather and a Asante mother. Why are you saying you are Asante? What about the guy in you? By your own labels. I'm using your labels. Then your father, who was a Ghana, he also has an Hausa daddy and a grandfather. What about the Hausa in him? And a grandmother? What about the Hausa in him? What happened to it? Did it disappear? By their own language, when you say Hausa and Ga, and this one is the point we are making is it is just the way we have organized human society accidentally. Now you understand Plato's essentialism. So when I say it is not an essential feature, there isn't anything that is in a person that identifies him culturally, essentially speaking. No. So we saw you at Hogbachocho Festival. You were part of those celebrating there. So what? So it makes you an Anglo. What about the white people who come to participate in it? Are they Anglos? So I spoke Ga. So I'm a Ga? No. You saw me eating Chinese food, so I become a Chinese. Hello, excuse me. Jalabia is in Christian denominations more than perhaps in Muslim setting. Does it make the people there Muslim? So what is the point? What are we defending then, or what are we advocating for? People are culturally different. That cannot be denied. Remember our discussion on cultural relativism, when we're trying to show that it is not the same as universalism, and that it's not the same as ethical relativism also. That we said even the universalists would understand and agree that cultures are relative. What the universalists cannot agree though with is what? That ethics is relative. That cannot be. Okay, so the fact that people do things differently is not in contention. You can't argue about that. But the problematic one is for you to say that there is something in a person's being that makes him essentially a member of culture A, such that if that thing is not there, the person ceases to be a member of culture. If you go to Rome right now, you do what the Romans do culturally. If I traveled from Ghana, and I gave these examples to your colleagues on main campus yesterday, so I suppose it is fair to give them to you. If I'm the Ebushiapin in the family head here, in that family in Ghana here, my in-laws are outside of the country, maybe in Netherlands or Iceland. Let's use a place that has a very cold weather. They invite me over for to say some 3 months outside of Ghana. When I go there, am I going to wear my cloth and slippers, ahenema, in that ice? Then in the morning, I tell them, I'm going to see your neighbors over there to greet them now. Then I'm going in my ahenema, the ice. Hey, you become obituary. You can't wear that there. Your way of life, culture just means the way of life of people, how things are done, what we are eating, what we are wearing, what we are speaking. So the fact that where you come from, you dress this way, doesn't mean if you change settings, you can't change how you are dressing. You will change the culture. What are we referring to? The accidental features of a person are not static. Culture is not static. It keeps evolving and changing depending on context. You can go eat fufu. Fufu is the Ghanaian staple food. Almost every group eats it. Even some Nigerians and Ivorians. When you go to Cameroon, they have a version of it. Fufu is highly starchy. You can't eat that in morning, afternoon, evening like we do here in Ghana, some places in Ghana. When you are in an ice cold environment, you will bloat. It won't burn under the sun here. And with all the difficulties we go through before we take trotro, that's a shuttle, you will walk your way down the road all the way before you get to half of the fufu will burn. Outside there, you just step out, the train line, the train is in front of, or the bus is just across the street. You don't do any long walking. You're going to sit there to eat fufu morning, afternoon, evening. The environment has changed. The place you are has changed. You will eat something else. You will chew grass like a goat. Until the 3 months are over, then you come back here. You can come and wear your clothes. But you can't do that in the ice. So your dressing will change. Culture is dynamic. That's the point I'm making. Does it mean that there isn't anything that helps to identify people? There is. So here we go. Cultural identity in the accidental sense of it. If I'm speaking right now, I say, when you go, please Priest, call blah blah to buy me blamblet. Tell blah blah to buy me blamblet when he's coming. In Ghana here, we all know who we may be pointing at. This brother, the way he's speaking there, it looks like he has a certain antecedent. You see that? We know that this is his house. If you hear this is his house, and you are speaking to someone from Ghana, you are likely to think, see the way I'm speaking, you are likely to think that this person comes from so and so place because of the accent of their language. It tells. Tomorrow, we will be doing the eye tomorrow. If you hear someone saying tomorrow, you know which area of Ghana the person is. Look at what I'm saying, likely to be coming from. Why likely? Because it might turn out that he doesn't come from there. So it is just what? Accidental. We have ways of doing this. Some greet by lying prostrate. Some cannot even ask their husbands, for example, certain questions because of their background, their cultural background. It doesn't allow that. They are women. That's how the cultural system there is. So sometimes it overwhelms them. Even when they have to ask something, they feel that, oh, if I do it, it's not. But someone else, still from Ghana, from a certain place that doesn't think of that, things that way, will freely be saying, no, please keep quiet. It's my turn to talk now. And she doesn't think it's odd. So we understand that cultures are different. And that there are ways of what? Grouping and identifying such differences. That is not in contention. That's why it is okay to advocate for what? The preservation of what? Cultural identity. But not in the sense of what? An identity that cannot change. That is the essential one. When you start saying that this one is our identity, why has it changed? You are saying something else. You are thinking of cultural identity as if it's essential. It is not essential. Culture is dynamic, it's elusive, it's not static. So depending on the exchanges going on, first we may be using the Asanka, Tapoli, the masha pot. And perhaps I don't know if it was this class, I have to do the pepper for a number of people for that reception. I may start doing blender for that. I use a blender to blend it because it can cater for the numbers within a short time. There should be nothing wrong with that. Subsistence farming may have worked for a while because all we needed was to feed ourselves and our nuclear family. We can use subsistence farming to feed our 30 million plus population now. We'll go hungry. And so in the past, yeah, this thing is just cutlass and hope. Yeah, that is in the past because even the population won't permit that now. We have to go industrial. Tractors must do the harvesting. So grandma says she can do it herself. Yes, how long will it take her to harvest these 3 acres of corn in the name of that's how we do it here? When a tractor can do the same thing, is a tractor, a harvester, can pull it within 3 hours. It has pulled it, built it, ready for. Look at China, how they do their production. See how the economy is thriving. So industrialization shouldn't hurt. That's why if you have a certain posture to a so-called, take note, cultural identity, as if it is essential, we have a problem. But there is a sense in which we can preserve culture. That's the way we do things. We greet. It's an African thing, Indian thing. Be a chiano. Don't say it's not mine. We help people. If you see someone struggling with their load, you greet them, oh, do you need help? Let me help you. It's a Ghanaian thing. It's not inquisitive. Some cultures will say, if you don't go, I gave a scenario about my own thing. I won't tell you. I told the other people yesterday. The people won't come and help me with my load at the airport where I went to Sajen. Not because they are wicked, but their culture doesn't permit that. If I want help, I should ask for it. But Ghana, I see, when you are carrying 2 baskets on your head and then a certain rubber and you are coming down the street and someone is going your way, you collect it. You say, oh, wow. You don't have to invite the person. That's our culture. This other place, they respect you too much to interfere in your life when you haven't called for help. So if you are carrying 3 suitcases on your head and 1 baby at your back and something is for you, carry it. If you want help, prompt, then they will come. That's the culture there. Otherwise, they'll give you way to pass with your load, but no one will interfere. Very individualistic. So what? So we may want to advocate that we want to preserve our name. Someone travels 2 days, he's speaking as if he has never been to Ghana before. Excuse me, hello. Yeah, hello. How old are you? Hello. What kind of bush behavior is that? Fancies, I'm a fancy. So let me put your power on for everyone to hear, then I'm done. You can't speak one line of fancy without interspersing it with brofo. Aponchi goat, aponchi goat. Hey, I'm not a take care. I need the man. Across the road now, I shall not be a knuckle down. I. What is this? The person is trying to speak one line of English. Excuse me, one line of Fante. She cannot speak that one line without a mixture of both words. I am a culprit too. That's why I'm using myself. Don't feel too proud of that. Speak. If it's tree you are speaking, speak tree. If it's English, speak it. But this mixture, these are the concerns that we can raise. That is how we identify ourselves, even if it is not essential. I am not a tree, but I'm speaking some tree. So if I'm speaking it, I have to speak it well. If I'm putting on the cloth, I have to do it well. If I see an elderly person and I have gone to a place where they greet by lying prostrate, I have to do that. You don't go and stand before Otumfo and then I'm saying that I learned it. Even if you are a chief and then your cloth is on your shoulder, you are talking to Otumfo. No, you have to pull it down. I just learned recently that if you were a woman and the king came into the building, they are all there. It's the men that must rise up. The women shouldn't. I didn't know. Apparently, you are so much respected that you don't stand for a man, regardless of their title. This is our culture. It means what? We identify ourselves that way, but not identity in the essential sense of the word identity. I say it can change. It can. It must. Where the new way of doing things and the old way of doing things meet. So there's a conversation in between what the traditional and the modern, and where the traditional way of doing things is more useful to human well-being, we have to let that one prevail. And at other times, where the modern way of doing things, that is the modern culture. Culture just means how things are. Culture is not a thing or a place. It is how you do it. So how we eat, how we dress, how we speak. That's culture. The we here referring to what? The people using that language at that time, or the people dressing up that time. So the culture of the church for a certain group of people is not the same as another culture. In another a church, one church, you can, when the pastor is preaching, you can shout, oh, preach it. Go, 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 man of God. Another church, if you do that, maybe the first one, they'll excuse you. The second time, the usher will come to you and walk you out and tell you, please, you're obstructing the flow of the spirit. We're having a liturgy. Can you be quiet? At another place, when you do that, the whole place is like the Holy Spirit is bored. So the culture of places are different. The culture in an academic setting, why someone can say, I beg to differ, this is a nonsensical view. It's not offensive to say that. We are just saying that it is not sensed. It's not something we can use sensationally to interrogate. You can't say that at a family meeting somewhere. They'll say you have insulted the king or the chief or the family head. So culture just means how things are done. That is where we say when you go to Rome, you got to do what the Romans do. I was told at this other place I went for a conference that when you are given food by the people who hosted you, take what you can eat and make sure you finish everything in the plate. Else you have insulted the one who did the food for you, the host, that family. They will all look at you in amazement that, hey, say na umbuade. Is that how you don't respect? So if these are a Ghanaian thing, I should say, where you go and you load your plate, and you go and sit, if you go and it turns out that you couldn't eat it, you are in big trouble. For that culture, it's a serious matter for them. It's not a joke. Where you go and dish the food with the then they sit in the plate, but they come and eat only small. Maybe when you start, it's all that the sugar in it is too much for you. You have to eat everything and clear the plate. The sign of respect for them is when you finish the plate and you say thank you. When you go home, then you go and face the look after that. But you can't leave some food in the plate. It is disrespectful. It's a cultural thing. Okay, so all I'm saying is, from the paper, if you didn't get the whole thing, it's fine. But what should you know? The essential sense of cultural identity is not something that can be defended. But the accidental sense of it is not something that can be denied. So when you are making a claim in your sociology work or social work or cultural studies, diplomacy, international diplomacy, and what have you, don't confuse cultural identity in the essential sense of it with what? Cultural identity in the accidental sense of it. If you read around this, you see how this discussion situates or fills in the debate of what multiculturalism, where the cultural revivalist is saying, because of all these problems, let's go back to our traditions and preserve our culture. Then the anti-revivalist also says, no, the old things are past. Behold, everything has become new. And they are pulling hairs over that. And then Miles comes in and says, look, hold on, guys. Do you realize that you are not engaging a common enemy? You are playing language. If it is cultural identity, say adebia a fixed, a unchanging in our culture, such that as soon as that thing leaves, I am no longer who I said I am. I'm asking you, what is it? Is it a language? You won't get it. Because language changes. Look at the language you're engaging in now. So I'm not English, eh? I'm from Queen Elizabeth. Oh, but we are speaking English throughout the semester. Maybe throughout the course on campus. You'll be doing English. Speaking English doesn't make you English. Wearing bubu doesn't make you whatever. Eating Chinese frog doesn't make you a Chinese. And so on. So what then should we defend? We should defend practices, ways of life that they are conducive to the purpose at the time we are in. So the culture at the lecture hall cannot be like the culture at church, perhaps, okay? The way of life cannot be like the culture at the beach, cannot be like the culture at where? The Independence Square. Any questions? I'm done. Is there any question, people? All right. So I think that we are well equipped. I intentionally did the preliminary part so that if people have to go for another lecture, they know what to expect in the exam. They have a fair idea of how they should answer philosophical questions. They know what to look out for. And then we have just done a little bit of introduction of the discussion on cultural identity. 5 questions, you answer 2. 2 that may straddle more than one topic. So it is in your interest to polish up all the topics that we have done. Zuwera, I called you earlier. Please go ahead with your question. Unmute first. Zuwera, go ahead. We can't hear you, please. Zuwera Sadi. Oh dear. Okay, if it is a question and you are struggling to ask it, not to worry, right after you can ask. Kingsley, ask your question.
Okay, madam, thank you. Madam, please, I wanted to ask that so if the essential part of the of our culture cannot be defended, does it mean that the practices one can be defended?
Does it mean that what?
Our practices, because I believe that every groups or every ethnic groups, culture, they have their practices. Things like, let's say the Asante, they have the Keti and the Adwa. If you go to other religions, they have things that they practice. So I believe.
Yes.
So I was
Yes.
asking, that ones can be defended.
No, what I'm saying is, so you, Kumi Kingsley, for example, if I saw you dancing Kete, should I say therefore that you are Asante? That is the question.
No, please.
So we are not saying that there are no cultural groups. Cultures are different. We've said that over and over again. People do things differently. But where we fix something to the person, we say that you are English because you are speaking English. Or you are Ga because we saw you speaking Ga. Or you are Eve because you were dancing Agbada. I saw you, how you were even twisting your body. You know, that I said, hey, that woman is an Eve. That is what we think is problematic. There isn't anything in a person that makes him or her essentially Ga or essentially Fante. It's just how we organize ourselves accidentally. So the person that is seen wearing kente now, the next time you may see him in fitting dresses, very sweater, best 16. He's wearing 16 sweaters. When in Ghana, he's a chief. He's supposed to be in his cloth, but he can't wear that over there. So the dressing can change, the language can change. When I'm speaking with my father, he speaks English and I speak English. But we don't speak English. When I'm supposed to, that's why he would tell me. Even though we can both speak English, because the culture is different. Can I come and run this lecture speaking Fanti throughout? You will beat me up. The Ghana people say we didn't hear anything. You see, so the culture is different for different groups, ethnic groups, nations, what have you, no problem. But the persons that you associate to a culture, is there anything in their being that makes them such that you say this is their cultural identity? Cultural identity is not about the cultural group. It's about people. So you want to fix a certain dress on a certain person and say you are this, such that when the person for some reason has to change and act differently or eat differently, whatever, you say they are losing their identity. That is where the problem is. So not that there are no cultural differences, there are. And people practice different things and they live differently. But when you associate cultural identity to persons, essentially, then we can't defend that because we will keep changing how we are doing things, dependent on what is demanded of us. I hope it's okay, sir.
Yes, please, madam. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay,
Can
so
I take
meaning
one
that
more question?
is
Go ahead.
sorry. So meaning that we are talking about the individual, like it's an individual thing, as in the people, not the group,
Yes.
as you said earlier.
Yes, it's identity. Identity is not hanging, excuse me, like,
Yes,
when we say that identity is always about a person. So when I say Kumi is losing his identity, his cultural identity, cultural identification. If I want to identify you culturally, then I'm complaining that you have lost your identity. Which identity is it? You say, now you Asantini Bema Pana Wuko Yena. You are an Asante man, you are going for a funeral, you are wearing dress. Asante person, if you are going for a funeral, you have to put on cloth. The guy is in Iceland. Have you forgotten? He's in Iceland. He says he wear cloth. Will he return from the funeral? By the time he returns from the funeral, he himself is on his way to the funeral to be buried. So the dressing will change. It doesn't mean he has lost his identity. If you said that, then you are referring to an identity in the essential sense of it. That something that defines his being culturally has been taken away. That is the whole point. And I think that maybe it's clear.
Yes, please. Madam, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I can take one more before the next group comes in. So any other question? This is on record. I hope that I am able to share too. Or main campus Tuesday wouldn't have a recorded session to play back. So if this is there, I think they will benefit. I'll meet Thursday group also in person tomorrow. They won't have a recording. So this year recording should be useful to them. And also the second group. Please, do we have one more question? Anyone on the exam? Please be there on time. I don't want stories after the exam. Let me put that also on record. I don't want any stories. I beg you in the name of God, I'm praying for everyone to be well and strong. No funeral matter. This is University of Ghana exam. Examination. I beg you, be there 30 minutes before time. If it's a 3:30 paper, 3 o'clock, you are seated. They are giving you the paper at 3. Rosemary, what's your question, please?
Are you looking out for a number of words or pages
No, please.
when
No,
it comes
please.
to the
I
essay?
don't do that. I don't do that. If it was a short answer type question, I would have restricted. I could have said in not more than a single statement.
Oh, okay.
But
I
for
was about
these
to answer.
essays, because they are practical questions and people write differently, I would want you to write, except that if you look at the time given to you, it will tell you that we don't want just, excuse me, chaff, plenty things. No. If it's plenty and it's good, all the better. But if you are going to write and say things that are not answering the question you have been asked, just to show that you attended lectures. Sometimes when you ask people, what is a bird? And they don't have an answer to show what a bird, animal, flying bird is. They don't know. Then they will say, well, a bird sits on a tree. And a tree is, and they start defining tree. They will talk about tree and how you plant it and how you water it and photosynthesis. And meanwhile, the question says, what is a bird? It says birds sit on a tree, and the tree does this. No, you can't swear words like that. So if you are answering the questions, you will see that you work within time. By the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes, you should be done. No matter how much content you have on that topic, you should be done. You should be moving to the next one. So that by 1 hour, that is the if you are so slow, by 1 hour, you should be done with your 2 questions. 1 hour, 10 minutes, you are done. You are reading over, picking, correcting stuff like that. Please write your IDs on each page. That is the instruction. Because people, last semester, an answer booklet was brought to me, had nothing at the back, nothing inside. It's strange, level 200. Nothing, not even the venue, so that I can check the handwriting. The person wrote nothing. And your in-class assessment, I came to tell the class, we had such scenarios. If you do that in the exam, you are reciting with an F. That I will give you painfully, but I have to, because I won't be able to determine whose handwriting it was. The university won't even sanction that. So please go early so that you are not under duress. I mean, this is not the only exam you write in the university. You've written some from first semester. Just that this one, you have a high chance of getting a straight A joyously, and using the ideas to impact lives. So you want to make sure that you do things right. So go early. Go, if you can go with 2 pens, it will help you. Maybe big pens. No designer pen that when you start writing, it's not writing, it's frustrating your life. See, write your IDs on each page clearly. Sign against it so that if someone wants to sabotage you, and also write your ID behind the answer. I've had a scenario like that. People write their names. I just signed I just graded some critical thinking essays. If you are just using names, you can feel people wrongly. I saw more than inoctete, about 6 of them. They are all inoctete. It's the ID that distinguishes you from another. So when you write down your ID, then you sign against it. ID clearly. If it's 8, don't write 8 that looks like 5 or 5 that looks like 8. And expect that the lecturer should know. You are dealing with thousands of students. Your grade is what you are fighting for. Okay, do that for all your courses, and you do excellently well. I wish you well. I enjoyed all our sessions together. Say me well to Prince. I don't know if he's here, and all others like him. Janet, who read for me most of the time. The very able class friends, Juliana and all. I wish you well. We will see ourselves after your exams when I upload your grades. If you have queries, send an email. Send an email. If it is very urgent and we have to attend to it quickly, then you may consider a WhatsApp. But if you send an email, then it helps all of us. Okay. All the best. Take care.